Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood Was Armageddon. Mud Flood Was Armageddon? Formerly Flat Earth Nation Golden Age past, because the Mud Flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. I know, I got this thing here. Women poisoners of St. Nick into the Golden Age past, but really it's an Amway party. No, no, I can't lighten it up. This is serious stuff. And I might as well, I think I want to go right to the presenting. And here are a few pictures from today. Save these. You might be, what's going on, man? 1930s. I was looking at it hard today. Fiat money, fiat creation. And Mussolini got himself a fiat creation of a nation. I got a text there. I got to get to Art real soon. He's out there. Hey, we're going to probably not get to too much of this, but if you're feeling it after, they had their debate last night. It was funny. I liked it when they argued about who's the best golf, and they both lied about how good they were. Here's this disaster of the 1930 depression. It went down here. It bounced right back up. So I don't know what's going on here, because this is not anything like what they say this is. I don't know what happened here. This is the World War One, huh? Or is this the end of World War One? Our stock market crashed. Okay. And it stayed crashed until they elected FDR. And I guess this is all fake money anyway, but now there's not enough. Somehow they're not going to let you have any more money. We might cover this. We'll just pick it up where it starts and saying a revisionist view among some economists holds that the New Deal prolonged the Great Depression, as they argue that National Industrial Recovery Act of 1933 and National Labor Relation Acts of 1935 restricted competition and established price fixing just in time to get lucrative contracts from the government for like the Norden bomb site and other things that had to go on every bomber, and we'll give you it. And they didn't work, but they still had to pay. John Maynard Keynes, I think he's one of those first openly gay people that they, instead of like today where, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Back then they were ashamed of it. They said, no, but he's so smart, we're going to hide it. And I'm pretty sure they did. And I hope I'm not confusing him with some other gay economist. He did not think that the New Deal under Roosevelt single-handedly ended the Great Depression. Open quote. It seems, politically impossible for a capitalistic democracy to organize expenditure on the scale necessary to make the grand experiments which would prove my case, except in war conditions. Wow, okay. Well, what's his case is, we're all Keynesians, Keynesian economy. That's capitalism. So, hey, there's your thumbnail. Like that? Why wait? Use poison brewed at the Black Mass from witches at the end. And it even says, San Nicola. This case is going to prove itself. Here's well, did I mention it said, like, I think that means like France Masons, because is that a C or a squiggle? I think that sometimes C, it sounds like an S. Clarice, don't like it. Rock the Casbah. But it starts with a C, you know what I mean? So I did this video this morning. Not a lot, people don't like the short videos. They say they do, but they don't. And but maybe they just don't like my short videos. Oh, wait a minute. But it was but a good support. And we all need it. It's our Lord Jesus Christ. That's probably another reason, maybe not as popular as it could be. Craft like Biden. Man, could that have been any more? I mean, I am apolitical. I think that if you vote, you're actually voting for the status quo, pretending that your vote mattered, pretending that your taxes matter. They're just going to write it off. They want a reason to make you think you're in the game. You've got blood in the game. You got game in the blood. We all got that bad part of us that make us want to take a chance sometimes. Take a chance. Take a chance. Yeah, but anyway, the debate last night, Renegade Seed. Did you not watch the part where he talked about the golf score? And that was the only time Joe Biden perked up out of his Percocet induced fog, and he said, "You question my golfing abilities? I had a 6 handicap." And I'm thinking like, okay, Arnold Palmer, wow, you can shoot consistently 6 above par. It's almost impossible. That means like you're getting a 78, 76, so, every time. Oh, I get 100. I'm a happy boy. Come on, Biden. Doesn't matter. It's all fake. Anyway, back now to the witches and the poisoners. And yeah, even it was wild. Hey, off grid John, all the way from Australia, guitar playing man. Did you see our president get let off the stage by his wife last night? After the debate, he was standing there for a while, so his wife came out, gave him a hug, and took him by the hand, and took a couple of minutes to get him let off of the steps. But he made it. He made it. Much love to you, brother. Wait until you see all of this poisoning that went on. And I do consider that the end of the golden age. Now, remember, it's not mud flood was Armageddon causing the poisoning. These are all going to be happening at the end of the 17th century. That's what we call the 1600s. And remarkably, according to their Julian calendar, a lot of this poisoning is happening by black masses. But how could it be happening at the end of the golden age? Well, I think that's why it ended. And there's been a lot of speculation started by me and picked up by others because of the years I've been saying it is, why would Jesus have to rule the golden age with the rod of iron? Because of us. We're the bad guys. We're the people. We're the ones that have the sin problem. And unless God changed us and made us walk, it's not of him that willeth or him that runneth. It's God that showed the mercy. Amen. Thus saith the prophets. But at the end of the 1,000 years, because we are that remnant that, we're standing around going like, how did they fill up all these buildings? Look at those pictures. We can't do that today. There's so crowded. They got more boats than there are pipes underneath the kitchen sink. I don't know. There's just so many boats in like those pictures of New York. But anyway, there was the reaping at the end of the 1,000 years, and all of these royalties, they had this secret society set up. And so, right, I think that the Julian calendar, 1666, coincides with the Gregorian calendar that surprisingly Russia did not adopt until 1917, but we all go by it and pull our history on it. That makes it 1711 on the Gregorian calendar. Into the poisoning, you're not going to believe it. They were selling it as a cosmetic. First, we have to get into the Nicolaitans. Satan is a feminist because men do not want to think that women could be poisonous murders. It's kind of like the quandary we were in the late 70s when, you know, abortion was just made legal, but there was still, we weren't doing enough for women. And they made a movie called The Burning Bed. This famous actress from the Charlie's Angels TV show made a movie where she burned her husband because he beat her. And then she got off because she said she had hormones that caused her to do it. She was a heavily hormonal person when she was menstruating, so she just snapped and killed him. You know, and we all went, "Oh man, he probably deserved it." And that's kind of the way they print these murders that we're going to go over tonight, and these murderesses, these black witches, because nobody ever wants to believe that a woman is as bad as a man, that just all of a sudden, only a man goes has an affair. Women are the victims of men who just go have affairs. Think about that one, but that's kind of what and it's kind of like, everybody's going to go around like, scamming on the girl, but their mom never, while they're scamming, they're not, my mom never would have fallen for this. Okay. All right, let's get to the Nicolaitans. Botulism is a cosmetic. I've heard that Retin-A and some of that other stuff that makes your forehead get all Jack Palance or Casey Kasem, I don't know, or, I don't know, Biden. But to this, you have to your credit. You have this to your credit. You hate the work of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. Okay. There you go. That's just one church. That's Ephesus. There's this other one here. What's it, verse 15? That's Pergamon. This Pergamon, we'll read the whole thing now. These guys, come on. Wow. To the angel of the church in Pergamon, write, these are the words of the one who holds the sharp double-edged sword. I know. I should have gotten some water. I know where you live, where the throne of Satan sits. Okay, so there is a throne where Satan can sit. Yet you have held fast to my name, and you have not denied your faith in me, even in the day when my faithful witness Antipas was killed among you, where Satan dwells, because Satan sits, Satan dwells. But I have a few things against you, because some of you hold to the teachings of Balaam, who taught Balak to place a stumbling block before the Israelites so they would eat food sacrificed to idols and commit sexual immorality. In the same way, some of you also hold to the teachings of the Nicolaitans. Therefore, stop doing that and do the opposite. Think another way and act upon that. Otherwise, I will come to you shortly. And well, they did. So we all know. There you go. So there you go. There you go. White stone inscribed with a new name is waiting for them, and more than likely you also. One of the gifts that keeps giving is the history guy. Have you ever seen the history guy? This guy? He's always baffled by history. I mean, I have seen him grow and grow and grow. If ever you wonder, I wonder if the Lord, so many people, I've seen him make a video and then people like me turn it into a mud flood thing. And that's what I'm doing again. He has struck again. Shoot, I should strike again. I've been putting out all of these videos because I usually go like this and go like, hey, I'm one of those guys that's got one of these things. And so far, so good, because, basically this is a whole, and plus they got the whole thing of me being like, well, he thinks he's a prophet, an end time prophet, and the world's going to end in 2046, but he don't like Biden, he don't like Trump, and he don't like nothing. He don't even, And I want women to have head coverings and all. Oh, I'm a public relations mess.
To see if she would commit a crime. When she sold a vial of liquid to an undercover police informant, they left out.
Yo, they left out a royal was on the purchasing list. It'd be like some of those people when they raid those high, expensive call madams in New York City, where and like they don't release all the list because guess who was on it?
And arrested her. The woman had not just been suspected in a string of murders, but her arrest would uncover a ring of conspirators whose crimes shocked the nation.
Black magic. Black magic.
Lucia. In the centuries that followed, legends surrounding Donna Giulia and Giulia Tofana, as she was known, proliferated. In the 19th century, one writer named her the daughter of Teofania d'Amo, a poisoner who was executed in 1633 in Palermo.
Dang, this whole, wow. So I looked up what she used for her poison, aqua tofana. They said it was named after the first women who got caught. They're like, you're busted. You got poisoning people, man. Somebody turned on them on that one because they had this thing going down. Women, what were you doing poisoning these people, man? Whoa. Ooh. There's even a band. I'm poisoning you for your retirement money, baby. All right. Aqua tofana was a strong poison created in Sicily around 1630 that was reputedly widely used in Palermo, Naples, Perugia, Rome, Italy. And I'm going to be able to show you because it took about 3 minutes of research. Because I'm telling you, man, once the history guy puts you on a topic and you feel like, well, I was led here by the Lord, it just like, because I had I had a little laundry I had to drop off today and go pick it up tomorrow. I had to go to the store and buy that food. I made this soup almost from scratch. Well, I had to make the chicken myself. And then, so anyway, 6 of these, it was this Julia Tofana, Tofania. Purportedly 6 poisoners. They got them all. Spana and Tofana moved to Rome after, the first recorded mention was in 1632, 1633. Okay. She was executed for her crimes. But several women associated with her, included the Tofana and Sapana, moved on to Rome. Manna de Saint Nicola. Manna of Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas, also known as Nicholas of Bari, was an early Christian bishop of Greek descent from the maritime city of Patara in Anatolia during the time of the Roman Empire because of the many miracles attributed to his intercession. He is also known as Nicholas the Wonder Worker and probably known as Saint Nick Santa Claus. The active ingredients are known, but not how they were blended. Aqua tofana contained mostly arsenic and lead and possibly belladonna. It was colorless, tasteless liquid and therefore easily mixed with water or wine to be served with guests. Poisoning by aqua tofana could go unnoticed as the substance is cleared, had no taste, slow acting, with symptoms resembling progressive disease or other natural symptoms. They had this down to a science. The first small dosage would produce a cold like symptoms. Victims would be very ill by the third dose, vomiting and dehydration, diarrhea, burning sensation in the digest. Fourth dose will kill you. Slow acting, agonizing. An antidote often given were vinegar and lemon juice. Well, there you go. You could do some magic tricks of making your writing disappear and then cure the poisoning. So it's a very common thing here. Let's just see what else we got here. Here's the girl. Geronima was an Italian poisoner and an astrologer. Central figure in the infamous Spana persecution against a net of poison merchant women of Rome. Wait. Okay. Still in Rome. Still in Rome. Right. So they got court documents. They got it all. Different spellings. Daughter of a wealthy Nicola. She was provisioning Spanish galleys and overseeing expenditures of a star fort, baby, for whoever this ruler was. She became the stepdaughter. Mommy moved around. Traditionally known in history as Julia Tofana, and recognized as the inventor of aqua tofana, which he allegedly sold commercially as a type of cosmetic. All right. So family fled to her maternal uncle in Rome. Okay. No reason why, but he was the cleric and an astrologer. Okay. And Cesare Ronchetti was described as a spendthrift who ruined the family's fortune because I guess he only spent money on hookers and then paying off the children. Yeah. Listen to this, though. The girl Spana, the astrologer, had to marry this dude when she was 14. And her stepmother became a professional marriage maker, but also unofficially, allegedly, resumed her businesses. Hey, don't put this in your husband's drink, he'll die. And don't put it on your face, but it's, you're supporting St. Nicholas if you buy it. You know what I mean? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't die. She killed him. All right. And allegedly, she practiced on a lot of people to get it down really good. She established herself as a professional astrologer, distributor. I was trying to say astrologer in my word, but my dyslexia wouldn't let me. Of herbal medicine. She distributed homeopathics and herbs. However, she was also instructed by her stepmother, if you ever want to make some real money, some women want to kill their husbands and they'll pay. They'll pay you to do it. Together, the two women trafficked this specialized poison, mostly specialized in selling poison to women married to abusive husbands because no young woman at 14 would ever want to relish, darn, this guy could live another 30 years. No. She's like, you know what? I should just poison him. Would never happen. She was later described as ugly, nasty, unpleasant, and raggedy, but Geronima had a very good relationship with her business partner, poison maker stepmom. She called her a good woman here. Now, in the persecution here, denied all the accusations here. Are they going to get into some of these? They got into what they did, accused of, but they had to shut this down because they had some famous people on the list. I don't know if I get into this or not. We'll see. What I have pulled up is what we have pulled up. This one is Lavoine. Now, Lavoine, Catherine Monvoine Lavoine, was a French fortune teller, commissioned poisoner. You're down on your right knee. Put your right hand in the air. I commission you, poisoner in chief. And she was alleged sorcery, provided alleged sorcery. Head of a network of fortune tellers in Paris. When was this? Oh, 1680? That's when she died. I think she got murdered. Murdered for doing black masses at the end of the golden age. She was the head of a network of fortune tellers in Paris providing poisons, aphrodisiacs. I think that's like those purple pills, abortions, purported magical services, and the arranging of black masses. Thought it was all a joke. And Ozzy Osbourne biting the head off a snake. Just like witches at black masses. Her purported organization of commission ordered to be made in exchange for payment, having received a commission to create an artistic or literary work. All right. So we get it. She's commissioned to do black magic. All right. Organization at the end of the golden age. The poisoner murdered was 1,000 by herself. She was just busy. Some people claim it to be deuce and a quarter. Might have been murdered. Wow, look at that picture. There's a snake on it. Yuki has got like devil looking over his shoulder too. Yikes. All he needs is one of those Alfa Romero's logos, but they eat babies. They do. That's not QAnon. Everybody knew that way before they started whatever they had going on. Oh my goodness, this is that girl doing a black mass. They're killing a baby. Oh my goodness, stop it. Oh, wow. Holy cow. She's also active jeweler and a silk merchant. Holy moly. Supported her family by doing the black magic and face reading, fortune telling, active midwife, which meant, do the abortion. She didn't have no problem with that. She liked it. Arranging the black masses, aphrodisiacs, and poison. Okay. Wow. So here's some famous people. They that weren't high enough to be left off, but still high enough to be like, ooh, we got them. So she was one of the sisters selling the poison. Same with her, I think. You a poisoner? Oh, she was the youngest of them. Here, you put 4 drops like this, but don't do it because your husband may die. He's a poisoner. They're all poisoners. So anyway, she was known to have at least 6 lovers. One was an executioner, an alchemist, an architect, and a magician. How about that? At one point, he tried to induce her to kill her husband, but she stopped after 1 or 2 doses and said, "Nah, I don't want to kill him. Your magic is fleeting, provided abortions." You get the point. If this is interesting to you, it's to me, it's already washed over me, and I get it. Things were bad at the end of the golden age, and like now, you want to go and maybe who's the woman that? What did I say? When was that? 2015. Someday, maybe Michelle Obama will be president, and her husband will be the head of the United Nations, and they'll be able to tell the world how they were persecuted and forced to hide their true love and identity. Anyway, so this girl was another French fortune teller. Now we're out of Rome. They're doing this everywhere. So she was just like those of the Levain sisters and like the other inventors of the poison. And this was going to happen, you know. So these years can be intertwined, you know. She lived until 1721, but I think her poisoning was, you know, the end was 1711. We don't, you know, so much of their history is a mystery. Their history is a mystery. And in The Secret of the Philosopher's Stone, you wouldn't even know about it. Not unless that persecutor of, you know, the girl who made Dumbledore gay. I'm talking about J.J. Rowling. Come on, man. But she thinks there's men and women, so all of a sudden she's off their list. I think that's temporary. Temporary. So we got them in Rome, long time, couple of different organizations, some commissioned, some not. I looked up poisoners, lots of poisoners. Subway, you know, I guess all of these, you know, like mustard gas and nerve gas, and poison gas, they all go back to the same basic principle. You get rid of somebody with poison. Poison food, poison air, poison water, poison mind. Wow. And this is just like page 1 of 9. I thought they said page 1 of 9. I couldn't, so I looked them all up. Nope, just kidding. I went to another category and they're like, well, how many of these in the 1600s, how many known occultists does Wikipedia bother to, you know, hey, there's that guy. There's that guy, man. He was a famous poisoner. He's a magician. We just read about him. So you probably already know that. Of course, John D is always going to be there. He's always going to be there. It's their man. Is that only one page? Only one page. Should we look at one? Romani. He's an adventurer. Oh my goodness, Affair of the Poisons. Oh, he was hooked up with her. I might have, like, you know, subconsciously read his name and just picked it out. I didn't know it'd be a repeat of I didn't want to go back to Rome. We already know that Rome had a commissioned and non-commissioned black masses like crazy. Is that the same girl? No. She was accused of convicted in murdering her father and 2 of her brothers in order to inherit their estates. After her death, there was speculation that she tested her poisons on upwards of 30 sick people in hospitals, but these rumors were never confirmed. Her alleged crimes were discovered after the death of her lover and co-conspirator, Captain Godin de St. Croix for Canadians, who saved letters detailing details of poisonings between the two. Yikes. Tortured, confessed, executed. That's pretty much. There's the poisoner's staircase. I could click on it, make it bigger, but yikes. Oh my goodness. Here we have more of these marquees just going crazy. Something going on in Montreal. What? Oh my goodness. She founded the supplicarians. I believe these are the people that tape. They make sure they have something that if it's in contact with your skin and you die, you're good to go. You are good to go. You might be good to go otherwise, but you're definitely good to go if you have a scapula taped on you. They're all a bunch of poisoners, huh? Who's you? You a new poisoner? Oh, Julia. Okay. Sparse, back to Palermo. Poisoning. I guess, is there a witchcraft connection? Not really. took sanctuary in the convent and continued to distribute poisons for many years until she was found out and executed, her body thrown over the wall of the church that had provided her with sanctuary. You've been wait, oh wait, some people say no. Huh. Yeah, this is one of those. She could have died in 1659 or 1709 or 1730 or who knows. Anyway, so what's the actual recipe? Oh, I know I got a slow internet tonight. Was I hung up there for a while? Let's see. This one's just not loading. Slow poisoning and husband killing in the 1600s. Hey, that's not colorless. This is not a very detailed poison thing. We just read that it's supposed to be odorless and colorless. 1791, they're still poisoning people. Mozart thought he was poisoned by the Rome's poison, aqua tofina. The story is commonly told that aqua tofana was the creation of Julia Tofana, who lived and worked in Palermo in the first half of the 1600s. It was a limpid, harmless-looking liquid, a scant 4 to 6 drops of which were sufficient to destroy a man. You know, I don't think women were the only ones who were doing it. They might have been the only ones with the black masses, but even that seems like, you know, because we can't just go from like, oh man, women are as bad as men, women are worse. No, we all got the same problem. We've just, you know, we live in a world now that basically there's no going back. There'll be, you know, woman president or some equivalent to it, just like in the other countries. And you'll like it because our country won't be the same anyway, because we'll be the laughing stock because like Donald Trump said, you know, last night, we're a nation in decline. And okay, he's a little more feisty than Biden. Things weren't that great under him. They were still ridiculous. And then he did the whole warp speed thing. He's one of them. So they'll do it to get the money. They'll get the money. They'll sell the poison. That was a big part of what alchemy was, and thus wraps up Poisoner's section for now. Hey, I already showed my disclaimer, but what a coinkydink. All of these things talk about the same thing.
And yet, as fast as we shot her planes down.
And if you look, this is so fake. This looks like Microsoft Movie Maker when you make it look old, and they tear the screen and flicker patterns down. This could be very well fake too, but it's the message they wanted me to tell you.
More and more appeared to take their place. Where were they coming from? How was she doing? A partial answer to her production success was soon uncovered. The wreckage of a crashed Messerschmitt revealed that in the design and fabrication, unusual techniques had been used.
Brand new techniques that were not discovered by the United States until 1944. And they needed extrusion press.
The aircraft contained large components, which could only have been produced by huge forging and extrusion presses. For this forged centerpiece, for example, only 5 parts were used. Had it been built up by the old bits and pieces method, it would have contained 18 parts, consuming hundreds of man and machine hours.
So if you wonder why the world there for a while focused on Berlin has a secret and we won it, and whoever gets there first says finders keepers, this one's mine, Russia got the big one, and the United States got the second biggest one. and it wasn't nearly half the size. And yet we claim we outbuilt them, although we weren't the first in space. And I guess they weren't bold enough. I guess it was they're all in it together. It was our turn. Fake a moon landing, baby.
For instance, the overlapping for joints and the boring of holes for rivets and bolts were not only a waste of material, but required far more skilled labor. One of the reasons for Germany's advanced techniques was that prior to World War II, she was faced with a shortage of iron and steel, as well as manpower. Therefore, she was forced to come up with improved methods of working light metals, in particular magnesium.
And if you ever wondered how come Ricky, or who are some of these people, like who else besides Leonard Skinner, and were some of these people that died in American planes that, how did they just catch on fire and they just burned up? Could have been magnesium in them, and they're not giving us the whole truth about when the United States helped or got maybe a small extrusion. But anyway, so that's their story, and this is something from the Air Force heavy press program. But they have to get that story out there. So here's one from America's Iron Giants. Basically the same story because they had to get it out there.
Remarkable contributions to global society, commerce, space travel, national security, in your life too. During World War II, when the Allies examined shot down German planes, they noticed something disturbing. The planes contained parts which were far more advanced than anything the Allies had. These parts were huge forgings, basically large pieces of metal which had been squeezed under tremendous pressure in a press sort of like a gigantic waffle iron. These latter was starting to ramp up. The US kicked off what is known as the Heavy Press Program. This funded an effort to build several very large closed die and extrusion presses in the US, but also to make sure we had the biggest presses in the world.
Because, they weren't, at 1945. They were by the time they had this, getting it done so that they could build V2 rockets. I mean, moon rockets, Saturn rockets, Mercury rockets, Gemini, Redstone.
But shortly after the program started, the Korean War broke out and American industry was urgently put into action to make war material. Thus, as to not delay the program needlessly,
So Russia got the big one, and the United States and the other countries scrambled to get the not big ones.
parts were ordered from abroad, and before too long, the U.S. had its first press built under the program, though there were very much larger ones to come. Now, why Germany had this technology is interesting as well, and sort of the fault of the countries which defeated her in World War I. The Treaty of Versailles forced Germany to give up much of its iron-producing regions.
Isn't that amazing how it tied back to World War I and just a simple treaty on iron ore? Because who would have known? People would have needed Willie Pete and white phosphorus and oh man, the war machine. We'll just a little bit more.
You can't work it by hammering, so Germany was forced to invent the forging technology the giant presses offered, which turned to work out so beautifully with aluminum too, and was later perfect for war applications. All of
How
the presses
about that? Later it was perfect for war applications. I got the slow internet.
helicopters, tanks, and gas turbines. Every manned U.S. military aircraft had parts forged in it. Essentially, these huge presses made much of the advanced Cold War military machinery possible and had been a key component of national security. There's no way we'd have such advanced aircraft with a...
Okay, and there's, so we are where we are because of magnesium. Same thing. Here's 4 years ago, they are going to change, finally they're changing one of the dies on one of these great big, they're still using the same things from the World War II race to Berlin. There's no volume on this? What are you guys doing? Look like construction workers. Supposed to be changing this tremendous thing. Anyway. Oh, there you go. Easy as pie. They're done with that. Hey, the 40-year millennium. So you want to be a preterist. And other people wonder, like, why is Paco always going like, we're not preterist if you believe in golden? Because these preterists are insane. This is a preterist page. And they give the whole thing, what if the 1,000 years isn't literal? Non-literal millennium is derived from scriptures that highlight the ultimate Sabbath rest and how they were understood by early Christians and rabbis. The first century Jews believed that the world was divided into 7 millennial ages. Okay. But as if you would keep reading on this, you might find some things, like, yeah, the Lord is like 1,000, a day with him is 1,000 years. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. Non-literal millennium. Huh. And the preterists are always quoting these people but if you, all I'm going to say is that if you go to preterists, they have some concept of a 40-year millennium that is rooted in biblical scripture. And again, they use the same things. Why people like, Shelley and others have not yet caught on that golden age past, premillennialism, is not preterism. This is preterist. They already have a Wikipedia page. They already have people who have believed that, the Jerusalem, something happened in 70 AD, and they have all types of different branches of what type of resurrection was it? Who were the dead then? Was the millennium reign really only that 40 years? But they're waiting for the marking the fulfillment of God's promise at the end of the Messiah's millennium. They don't believe in it. The 40-year period from Christ's ascension to his return in 66 AD represented this period of testing, culminating in the saints receiving the eternal Sabbath rest of the heavenly Jerusalem. By considering John's audience, we can see that the millennium symbolized the 40-year period of accepting the new covenant before the old ceased. In the next article, we'll discuss the numerous scriptures that strongly indicate the imminent end of the millennium in Revelation 20 from the perspective of the first century disciples. But he sure is not going to make it the golden age past. They are waiting on the millennium. It's the preterists. And I was taken back today when I found out that one of the graduate students, a former basketball player, scholarship player, I believe, was a murder victim in Las Vegas, where she was visiting another student who was going for his graduate from another that was something about Oklahoma City. I did not know they were going to have a little bit of a hosting thing with the you see if I had that one thing pulled up about Kayla. I might have watched that on another channel. Yeah, but a girl was murdered. Now let's see what I got here. What do we know about the 1930s anyway? Dust bowls. All of a sudden, there's 3 million unemployed, and that's when they rebuilt the United States, supposedly, and that's when, there was a panic in 1873, one in 1929, and then they fixed it and rebuilt the world. So, and as we look back at, the Great Depression of what they call that, severe global economic downturn. It's everything, Oh no, the Great Recession lasted until the beginning of World War II when who, we're all Keynesian economists now, started again. Then they got out of that downward deflationary spiral, severe droughts. This is all a plan. I always enjoyed looking at this picture, and we're going to look at a few from the Depression. Now, Wall Street, waiting at the stock market. Is that a plank road? And you got the cars, and I guess they drive on it, but it looks like a wooden sidewalk. So, come on, people now. Would you smile on your brother? Would you get together? Find out who your brothers and sisters are. And even if they're your enemy, we're required to love one another right now. Right now. I looked at this picture and I thought, it kind of looks, I just don't know. First off, is this a lathe and a drill? And somebody's not going to go like, why are you, what's this hanging here? Doesn't it look like that would get caught in one of those drill things? I didn't know anything about Consolidated, but I also know, my goodness, they sure got her face lit up, but why did they highlight something dripping out of her ear? So it's kind of weird. And finally, I want to wrap it up with, why study anything but the Bible? It's got everything you need to keep you busy studying. And all these other books are distractions that, to me, screams, I don't need the Bible. I got this. It helped me understand that book I don't study. This is Revelation 12. We're just going to read it through. Is this not exciting enough for you? Is there not enough here to make us think, we should become addicted to this? Verse 1, chapter 12. And a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed in the sun, with the moon under her feet and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and crying out in the pain and agony of birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, a huge red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 royal crowns on his head. His tail swept a third of the stars from the sky, tossing them to the earth. And the dragon stood there before the woman who was about to give birth, ready to devour her child as soon as she gave birth. And she gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was caught up to God and to his throne, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where God had prepared a place for her to be nourished for 1,260 days. Then a war broke out in heaven. Verse 7, chapter 12 starts. It continues. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But the dragon was not strong enough, and no longer was any place found in heaven for him and his angels. And the great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven crying, now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ. For the accusers of our brothers has been thrown down. How pleasant that they, already referred to us as their brothers. Special. For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, he who accuses them day and night before our God. They have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they did not love their lives so as to shy away from death. Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea. With great fury the devil has come down to you, knowing he has only a short time. And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle to fly from the presence of the serpent to her place in the wilderness, where she was nourished for a time and times, half a time. Then from the mouth of the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away in torment. But the earth helped the woman and opened its mouth to swallow up the river that had poured from the dragon's mouth. The dragon was enraged at the woman and went to make war with the rest of her children. They had been thrown down to earth. And he was making war with those who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. And the dragon stood on the shore of the sea. And oh, hey, how about this chapter 10 too? I mean, that's just a little bit nuts, right? Let's go down here. Then a voice that I had heard from heaven spoke to me again, saying, "Go, take the small scroll that lies open in the hand of the angel standing on the sea and on the land." And I went to the angel and said, "Give me the small scroll." "Take and eat it," he said. "It will make your stomach bitter, but in your mouth it will be as sweet as honey." So I took the small scroll from the angel's hand and ate it. And it was as sweet as honey in my mouth. But when I had eaten it, my stomach turned bitter. Then he told me, "You must prophesy again about many peoples, plural nations, and tongues and kings." Now, the 2 witnesses, we'll do that another time. Revelation 11, verse 15, in closing. The 7th angel sounded his trumpet, and loud voices called out in heaven, "The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and his Christ, and he will reign forever and ever." And the 24 elders who sit on their thrones before God fell on their faces, their thrones, their faces, and worshiped their God, saying, "We give thanks to you, O Lord God Almighty, the one who is and who was, because you have taken your great power and have begun to reign. The nations were enraged, and your wrath has come. The time has come to judge the dead and to reward your servants, the prophets, as well as the saints and those who fear your name, both small and great, and to destroy those who destroy the earth." Then the temple of God in heaven was opened, and the ark of his covenant appeared in his temple. And there were flashes of lightning and rumblings and peals of thunder and earthquakes and a great hailstorm, pestilence. Those who love the earth destroy those who destroy the earth. I think sometimes we might be a little too much, like, well, it's capitalism, we got to get that gold out somehow, and yeah, pollution, this and that, you bunch of crybabies. And I think maybe we should tone that down, rethink that a little bit. I say I didn't have enough internet to get, well, at least it didn't waste it trying to keep me up there, and I was able to get it through with just that one bar hanging on the whole time. So I'm going to leave it right there. At least you got to see the pictures. There's something going on with them. Yeah. Some of them Sadducees and some of them wolves in sheep's clothing. Thank you, everyone. It's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. And I'm never going to tell you anything else, and neither are my friends. Why would we? We're trying to prove that we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Avida. Saying goodbye. Nagame. Hasta luego, Kaya man.